know it happened, and for others, the liver is recovering today. On
Great meme on social media, right? I got a picture of a girl yesterday pulling her shirt up. Of course, they got it fuzzed out. And then they got a picture of her today getting the ashes on her head. They said, only in Louisiana.
That's pretty good. Today on Sports Shorts Daily, presented by LeBear's Casino, and of course TK over at Tremonti's Meat and Seafood. We're going to talk about LSU baseball. The Tigers had a little businessman Fat Tuesday special, 2 p.m. victory against Southern Jaguars yesterday in dominant fashion, 18-4. Is that what the final? 18-4 was the final. It got a little hairy though. Tigers found themselves down 4-0 after 3 innings, going into the bottom of the third, and then they came back and stormed back in a giant fashion. But we'll talk about that game. Something happened that hardly ever happens in the world of baseball. We'll get into that. Also, LSU basketball, the men are at home tonight against the Vanderbilt Commodores. They find themselves at 2.5 at the moment, point dog. You know what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to take Vanderbilt.
I already did.
Tommy got it in at 2. I got it in at 2.
No, actually, I got 2.5 this morning.
Oh, you got 2.5 this morning?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So
I should have done it. Yeah, I should have done it yesterday, but I didn't.
Yeah, last night
it was 1.5 yesterday when I texted you.
What's that?
It was 1.5 when I sent you the text yesterday when I first saw the line.
Oh wow!
Yeah. I should have bet it then, but so. Oh, well,
that's all the Sports Shorts Radio and Sports Shorts Daily listeners that move that line, as they know that the Tigers are 4-14-1 in their last 19 games against the spread. Pelicans are on the road against Toronto. They're a 5-point dog. LSU's women play tomorrow night on the road at Vanderbilt. So, college basketball for you this week. Spring training is underway, and games actually start on Friday. Looking forward to seeing those pizza box bases and seeing the no shift rule and all that sort of stuff. What kind of in the clock and how things will impact that. Speaking of the clock, all 4 LSU games at home this year have been under 3 hours. Now, we know yesterday was under 3. It was a 10-run rule after 7. But, hey, what a difference a year makes. Because I remember last year around this time, we were talking like, oh, my God, these games are lasting forever. You know, they were 3+ hours. And this is the Jay Johnson, John Cohen rule. John Cohen, the former Kentucky, Mississippi State head coach, now the athletic director at Auburn. He was a human rain delay as well, much like Jay Johnson is, really enjoying these rules.
Yeah, I really am. It's speeding up, and the Southern pitcher, a Rougarou player, got called for 2 clock violations.
Yeah.
2 clock violations yesterday. One was ball 3. One was actually ball 4. They put the runner on base. And I was watching all that. The second base umpire was on top of all that. So that's going to be interesting. I think everybody will adjust. There's just going to be a little window of time before everybody adjusts to it.
Tommy, you were at the LSU game yesterday in the victory against Southern University. Give us a takeaway on what you saw from LSU. You've been to a couple games now live.
Yeah, well, you know, they got down 4-0. The Southern got the 3 runs in the top of the third. Thatcher Hurd struggled to throw strikes. He went 2-0 in the first 3 batters he faced, and we all know you can't pitch behind in the count. But Hurd was a little nervous. He had good stuff, good fastball, and he had a nice breaking ball when he commanded it, but he did struggle to throw strikes. And I'll tell you what, you got to give Southern some credit. Southern's a better baseball team, and they won 3 games over in Houston over the weekend. But Southern's guys put the bat on the ball. They were ambushing that first pitch if it was a strike. And, I was impressed with Southern, the way they played. But then, Southern got the 3 runs in the top of the third to go up 4-0. But LSU answered, in the bottom of that inning with a 5 spot. They got played long ball a little bit. Jared Jones hit a monster shot about 3/4 of the way up the scoreboard. Joe Bear went oppo for a 3-run homer. And, of course, the story is Trey Morgan. He hits for the cycle in order, single, double, triple homer. Had 8 RBIs on the day. He hadn't had a hit over the weekend. He was 0 for against Western Michigan, and he busted out of it in a big way with the 4 hits, the cycle. First time in 13 years that an LSU player hit for the cycle. Mikey Mocktook did it against Alcorn State back in 2011. But Trey Morgan, the asterisk is he did it in order, single, double, triple homer. The cycle is rare. In order is extremely rare. So Morgan had a big day. Also, LSU, no errors again. Play clean baseball. I'm sure sooner or later they're going to make an error somewhere this year, but haven't done it yet. And they head off to Round Rock for the Carbach Classic. Hey, programming note. In order to watch these games, you have to go to d1baseball.com. If you are a subscriber to d1baseball.com, as Ronnie and I are, you get a little discount. It's like $25 for 3 games, but you get your little discount. You pay about $21 for 3 games if you're a subscriber. If you're not a subscriber, you can pay per game, or you can buy the weekend package and watch all 3. LSU plays at like 4 o'clock, and then at like noon, and then like 2 o'clock. You can double check them times. 3 different opponents, and then they'll hang around in Texas and play the Longhorns in Austin next Tuesday night. But LSU baseball, good crowd for a Mardi Gras Tuesday afternoon. The weather was perfect for baseball, and it was good to be out there.
The situation with LSU baseball, Tommy, is Trey Morgan yesterday. Like just 14 times in the history of Major League Baseball has someone had a single, double, triple, homer cycle in order like that. Only 14 times in the history of the game. Now, we don't have the statistics for college, okay, to know what that is. But suffice it to say, it hasn't been that many times in college, probably.
I'm gonna guess less than 14.
Yeah, and there's no way to know those statistics, but that was super special. And look, Morgan's now batting average is up over 300. Remember, he didn't have a hit after the first 3 games of the weekend. Hit a couple balls hard and stuff, and nothing to show for it. But obviously, he's too good of a hitter for it to stay down, and he broke out and got that average kind of back where you expect it to be. And that's what you're supposed to do against Southern. You're supposed to get your hits, 2 or 3 hits for those really good players to kind of get that average worked out when you have a tough weekend. And he did what you're supposed to do. Thatcher Hurd was very disappointing considering that last year in 34 innings or something like that at UCLA, he'd only walked 10 guys. So for him to walk 4 or 5 guys in that very first outing was extremely surprising. And I think you hit the nail on the head. He very much was amped up. He pitches with an intensity that I don't know, like when you see him on the mound, he is very tight. I mean, he is like super mechanical, very stiff, very locked in. He holds the ball real high, and he's not really that old school thumb to the thigh, show it to the sky, long armed, pitcher. He's very short, straight back. And I think when you've got a guy who's locked in and intense and tight, like that, and pitches like that, that's where that adrenaline can come in. And, a guy pitching like that in the first time in front of a big crowd. I mean, look, at UCLA, they have a few hundred people at their games. And so for him to, he just overdid it and was just way up high for the most part in the zone. And hopefully he can woosa the next time out because his stuff was electric. He hit 97, 96 a couple times, might have hit a 97 once. It was Rosley in the mid-90s. Has a very tight slider. If he's got an umpire that's giving him the upper region of the zone around the belt, he's going to be in really good shape because it seems like his misses are up more than down. But this is definitely one you want to forget. Hey, look, he got the bad one out of the way is the best way to look at it.
Yeah, he really did. And I think his next time out, we were speculating that with him starting yesterday, maybe he's the guy against Texas next Tuesday. Now, that'll remain to be seen. I would think they run him out there and show the confidence in him against Texas. But, Texas is going to be a better team than Southern. So, you'll have to see. But I thought he was nervous and tried to do a little too much. Got behind an account. You get behind 2-0 in the first 3 batters you face. Now your head starts swimming like, okay, now you're pressing. You're trying to throw a strike and you're squeezing it too hard and you're releasing it up high, whatever. So he'll learn from it. Christian Little came in and, settled everything down. He ended up getting the win.
Yeah, Christian Little, that's now a couple times he's pitched and done a nice job. The Vanderbilt transfer who kind of going into the season, a lot of people thought he might battle for the start and rotation. They kind of, I think, expect him to be more of a reliever. But, these things have a way of playing themselves out. If a guy's struggling with his command, then you're going to go with the strike thrower. And so
Christian,
the great thing about this LSU team this year is the options are tremendous. By the way, 2:00 Central Time, they play on Friday against Kansas State. Paul Skeens will get the ball in that one. Iowa will be at noon. So Sports Church Radio on Saturday morning from 10 to noon. We'll tell you all about the game from Friday afternoon, and we'll get you prepared for the noon start against Iowa. And then Sunday, Sam Houston State's a 4 o'clock game. And then LSU, of course, will stay over in Texas and then take on UT 6:30 on Tuesday.
Ronnie, Christian Little's a very intense guy. Jaguars had the bases loaded. He got a punch out with a nice breaking ball, and man, he had a intense reaction to executing the pitch and getting the punch out and getting out of the jam. And then of course the LSU bats woke up, led by Trey Morgan, and that was that.
Let's see. Moving on from LSU baseball. Couple quick things to point out. You mentioned how the Southern pitcher was called for the pitch clock twice. I mean, they are enforcing it. It's already been called against LSU as a batter. We've seen it now called on the pitchers. And this is making a difference. I mean, you're seeing the Johnson and Johnson, the coach and assistant coach for the Tigers, they're jogging to the mound. I mean, they're getting there quickly because there's no more strolling. Now, I haven't, it's interesting. Jay still, I think, gets a little extra time when he's on the mound. Non-conference games at home, you book the umpires, whatever. They're giving him a little extra time when he goes on these mound visits. But the other thing, Tommy, that irritates me, I want to ask Jay about it is, and he did this last year, and I thought of it. When any of whether it's the head coach or the pitching coach, when they go to the mound to talk to the LSU pitcher, and it is a pitching visit, like they're there to get on his ass because he's throwing balls, or they're there to talk about something that has nothing to do with the infielders. It's more of a, hey, let me go over here and shake things up conversation. Why does the infield have to come to the mound every single time? You wouldn't have that kind of for example, if Trey Morgan's doing something wrong, or you're getting on him because he missed a signal or he's not doing something right, Jay's going to pull him to the side. He's going to have a one-on-one conversation, maybe in front of the dugout, maybe off in the corner of the dugout. He's not going to pull up the whole batting group and the whole starting lineup and say, Trey, what are you doing? But yet somehow as a pitcher, every single time there's a mound visit, the whole infield comes and guys are just eating popcorn, just standing there looking. Yeah, Jay, what do you think? Yeah, uh-huh. And it has nothing to do with them. I feel like there should be times where the coach should say, no, y'all stay back. I don't need y'all to come up here. This is a conversation I need with the pitcher and catcher only. And it's odd to me. You wouldn't get on the second baseman in front of everybody. You'd pull him to the side.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. Now, if you're late innings, you got a first and third, they got a pinch hitter, you might want to go call everybody up, make sure everybody's on the same page defensively, how you might cover a bunt or a hit and run or a steal. But I don't like that one now. I mean, that's like, I'm going to be mean here, but that's like 10-year-old travel ball. Everybody comes to the mound and, all this stuff. I mean, well, then, Johnson twice yesterday called offensive timeouts in situations where I'm thinking, what is he going to say? Tell the guy to look for a good pitch? The guy's already supposed to know that. But hey, some people say he overcoaches, but hey, he's the coach. They got a better than good baseball team. Omaha or bust. We'll see how it plays out.
By the way, no errors 4 games in a row. That's
notable.
Very good.
That's definitely notable. They're not going to play all year without an error. I can promise you that. But it's good that they get off to that good start.
Look, LSU's third base, second base, and shortstop last year, the starting 3, those positions, they fielded under 920. And you had a shortstop who had an under 900 fielding percentage. So this is a much better start. LSU's fielding percentage has to be in the middle of the pack, at least in the league, as opposed to the bottom. All right, some other news to tell you about. Of course, Tigers off the Texas 4-game road series and the biggest midweek road game, arguably, they've ever played, going at the University of Texas. So that's good to see. LSU basketball, we told you, load up on Vanderbilt, -2 tonight, 2.5 at the moment at the PMAC. Some news from the world of sports from a standpoint of LHSAA, Louisiana High School Athletic Association, here in the state of Louisiana. big story because the Zachary Broncos boys basketball team has won back-to-back state championships. Liberty, the former Lehigh, that's Liberty now. Stromile Swift, by the way, not Tyrus Thomas, rather, is an assistant coach for Liberty boys basketball, has for years. Former LSU and first-round pick. They got into a brawl. The players, the fans, it got real ugly at Liberty last week. LHSAA kicked both of them out of the playoffs. So neither one of those teams will have a chance to win state championship, and good chance one of them was probably the Zachary Broncos. But and this is it, and it's a big news. I mean, we're not talking about two teams that were just mediocre teams or whatever. This is a tough love situation. You feel for the seniors, right? You feel for the seniors that, we're trying to win a state championship, or in Zachary's case, we're trying to do it 3 years in a row. But at the same time, we're seeing these types of things happen more and more off the court, fans fighting, interactions and things like that. This is a strong, strong message that's more it's not so much, I think, Tommy, about the punishment as it is trying to stop this from happening in the future.
That's definitely what's happening here. They're sending a message that you cannot do this. Coaches, assistant coaches, school administrators, talk to all your teams, all your coaches, because there was a fight in a girls' basketball game this month in Louisiana. I forget the two schools, and they got disciplined but not put out of the playoffs. Now, the video don't lie, and I know there's all kind of video of the Liberty Zachary thing. I have not seen it, but I know a lot of people that have. Robin Fambro, Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame sports writer, wrote a very good article about it, explaining both sides and the ugliness of it, that she'd seen all the videos. But you're right, Ronnie. The message here is we cannot have this in any sport, boys or girls, in Louisiana. There's a big-time recruit up in New Jersey. There was a fight, and his team their season was ended. So I get it. It's very unfortunate for the seniors at those two schools, but sometimes life's a bitch. But they're just gonna have to deal with it. But all coaches, all sports across Louisiana are gonna have to convey that message to their players that, okay, look, if you're gonna jaw jack, back off. Let's don't have anything get crazy here.
Well, the other thing too, Tommy, is that you're going to have to control your gym, right? And that means controlling your student section, controlling your fans. Everybody thinks that they're untouchable these days, and you can say anything to anybody without repercussion. And that's not the case. So if you have a situation where you can't control your gym and you've got some instigator type people, whether it be parents or students or whatever, you got to get them out of the gym. And if the solution is you play the games in front of parents and players only, then you got to do whatever to keep the peace and keep the, from fighting. That just can't be allowed. There's a lack of respect in the world right now, and that's carrying over onto the field. You're seeing more and more umpires and referees and officials not wanting to do that sort of thing because of the lack of respect that players and parents have towards them. We've seen video of guys getting punched and things like that. They don't make enough money doing that on the side, to risk your health. Right. And so this is the same type situation. That Liberty, if you will go and Google the Zachary Bronco Liberty basketball game, I mean, it was a brutal fight. I mean, it was like a match that got lit, and there was dozens of people on the court swinging and fighting, from students to players and everything in between. And so that's just unacceptable. And unfortunately, the onus is on the home basketball team in high school, the home gym. You control the security for that gym. You control the rules for that gym. And if you got students that are, cursing at players or causing a scene, you got to be able to feel that, and you got to get rid of those troublemakers, or you got to set the rules ahead of the season to the students and the fans that, hey, you step foot on that floor, you're banned for the rest of the season.
It's going to have to go that way. Kind of on the heels of this, Ronnie, or preceding this, there's a state representative in the state of Florida who's a former Florida State football player who's introducing a bill to ban storming fields or storming courts after games in the state of Florida at high school and collegiate level. I don't know what the consequence and the penalty is, but you kind of got, for safety purposes, you got to get into this now. Plus, in the Zachary Liberty thing, I mean, it could have been a whole lot worse than it was. I think everybody can draw that conclusion if somebody pulled out a weapon, then we got a much bigger problem. So I think somehow you're going to have to get that streamlined now. And while I feel for the seniors at Liberty and Zachary and what has happened to them, again, life can be a bitch sometimes, and this has got to happen so that we don't have any more situations anywhere, especially Louisiana, where it's near and dear to us.
So that's going to be interesting. There's a lot of people not happy about that. Obviously, you're talking about a high-profile school, big time. And Zachary, not many times have you around the country have you heard stories of a two-time defending state champion not even having a chance to defend its situation. All right, TK, you haven't yet gotten to Netflix, huh? We haven't watched Full Swing yet.
I haven't. I'm working on it, Ryan. So, here's the thing. I'm thinking about upgrading my TV, which then I can get all of that stuff. Okay, so you got to give me a little time, and I'm going to get it. I'll make a major announcement when we do.
There's two documentaries. I mean, one right now I'm finishing up a documentary on. It's part 1 and part 2 on Bill Russell, which is really, really good. The former, Celtics legend. Also, Full Swing, which was by the creators of Formula One, by F1. Like Rachel's already watched Full Swing. She's big on it too. The creators of F1, which I was not a Formula One race car driving fan. Couldn't really tell you about it, how it worked, what it all meant. For a year and a half, 2 years, people kept telling me to watch it. I finally binged on it months ago. I'm hooked. Going to the Miami Grand Prix in May. But the same people did the Full Swing documentary. It's 8 episodes. They're 45 minutes, an hour each, whatever. And it follows certain players in 2022 and their story. It's amazing. It's fantastic, and it's created from the concept and the mindset of, if you know nothing about golf, they dumb it down to explain who these people are and what a tournament is and how it's run and and how they get paid and all that kind of stuff. So the same thing they did for Formula One, because of course I didn't know anything about it. And just like you got hooked on this, everybody from Rachel to myself and everybody in between is getting hooked on Full Swing. So, and they have other, they've done other sports as well.
Well, I will get into that stuff soon, right? And we'll have a major Sports Shorts Daily announcement when I get all that put together.
All right, tell us about Tremonti's before we get out of here.
Well, we're rolling into Lent. They got all the seafood you need. If you're cooking at home, you want them to cook it. The fried catfish with the crawfish etouffee lunch special on Fridays. Boiled crawfish, live crawfish. They got everything you need. Now that you're into the Lent season, a lot of people like to do the crawfish on the weekends, of course, leading up to the Easter weekend, which is a huge crawfish weekend. Boiled crawfish, live crawfish, all your seafood needs, not to mention the wine and the bourbon and the whiskey and the steaks and the pork and the chicken and everything else they got here. Catering, they can take care of a little office lunch for you. They do a lot of catering jobs, whether it's 10 people or 50 people, doesn't matter. Tremonti's, call them at 225-751-7665 or stop by Jefferson Highway, right down the block from Parkview Baptist Church and School. Plenty of parking here. Boiled crawfish, live crawfish, connect on Facebook and Instagram, and they'll take care of you at Tremonti's.
On Friday, we'll talk plenty about people are starting to want to know, hey, what is this? Especially now that LSU and Texas are going to play baseball next Tuesday. People are wanting to know, what's this new realignment thing going to look like in the SEC with Texas and Oklahoma coming soon? TK has some information about that and has some inside scoop on
football. We'll talk about that Friday. We'll throw the bait out there.
Yeah.
Friday we're going to have some SEC football conversation. By the way, Ronnie, you ready for? You think the SEC it just means more? Do you realize that over a week ago they released the schedule for media days in July?
Right.
Of Brian Kelly speaking first, the order of the speakers, what day. When that comes out before Mardi Gras, by the way, Mardi Gras next year is February 13th, day before Valentine's Day. But when the SEC
8 days earlier than this year,
when they released their football media days before baseball started, actually came out, that's the best conference. And then, of course, it's only going to get bigger in 2024 when Texas and Oklahoma join not just football, but all sports.
Right.
But I got some information for you about the SEC football we're going to throw on people Friday.
All
So
right.
we're going to make them tune in, Ronnie. You're going to
Tune in on Friday. You're not going to want to miss it because it's actually very good info on what the realignment's going to look like, what that means for LSU. It'll be somewhat surprising. I'm curious to get your take on what you think. A lot of people want to know about pods and SEC East and SEC West and all that. We'll answer all those questions for you on Friday as we have a little peek behind the curtain. So tune in on Friday. Tell a friend, like and share. And don't forget, Baton Rouge Rougarou tickets are available. Rocking the Rougarou swag right now. Look for the Rougarou. We'll be in the St. Patrick's Day parade on March the 18th. You'll
special
see
beads. We got special beads, which I don't have one yet. If you
We'll
see,
get
I would
you.
wear it here on Sports Shorts Daily if you get me a bead, Ronnie.
We got some Rougarou and Hall of Fame beads that we'll be throwing. So look for the mascot and myself in the parade on the 18th. All right, we'll take a timeout. Be back on Friday for more Sports Shorts Daily. Please like and share. We'll see you then.